Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. Nothing warms the heart like the pitter-patter of tiny feet around the house. Of the rats living in the walls. At least you know you won't have to do the vacuuming tomorrow morning. Welcome to the Guy and Harley Podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
I'm Harley Neville. That fits really well, actually, because I wanted to talk about the rats.
Well, we've got... Look, if it's not the fucking slugs, it's the rats.
Yep.
You know, if it's not the rats, it's the ants. You know, if it's not the ants, it's the leak in the roof.
Yeah, well, welcome to first world living conditions in New Zealand. This is what we deal with.
They keep putting the rent up as well.
They do. It just went up $30 the other day, and this is we're in like literally this villa must be probably 100 years old. Sometimes I'm curious about what's in the attic because there's like a sort of a trap door there that leads up to the attic. I've never been in, but I've always thought
a lot of rats.
Well, yeah, definitely. But I have always thought. If I ever lived in some old house, I'd, totally check out what's in the attic and in the basement because, there's probably like treasure and, old artifacts and interesting shit from 100 years ago. But to be honest, I look at that manhole, I'm like, fuck it. Ghost definitely lives up there.
To be honest, also just like this house is so flimsy that I think there'd be a legitimate risk of you falling through
the roof.
one of the ceilings.
Yeah.
Because any of the ceilings that would like all the ceilings in this house look like they could go at any minute.
Yeah, they really do.
I don't give. There's a huge sag in one of them.
Yeah.
There's a leak in another. And it just looks like this if we have an earthquake situation.
Oh, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're not be looking to flash.
Now, dear listener, you might think that, oh, well, come on, guys, move to a decent suburb or whatever. You know what? We're in Grey Lynn in Auckland.
This is prime real estate.
These houses on this street are literally selling for $1 million.
But you caught some rats. Some rats today.
Yeah, well, so I caught a large rat and a very small, cute mouse. Both of them killed brutally by my traps.
Yep.
And I've caught 3 rats so far. One of which was a giant.
One of them.
It was a cat, basically.
One of them may have killed the cat that used to live.
There used to be a cat here all the time. It used to come in, help itself to, our water and what have you. He just disappeared one day, and I think it was this rat.
This rat assassinated him. It was like a hit. But yeah, that rat, that giant rat that you caught, it was like the Balrog of rats.
Yeah.
Like, you have all the rats, like all the orcs living down in the depths of our flat, right?
Yeah.
And then this big giant one comes out and goes, oh fuck, we can't fuck with this.
Yeah.
And it was so big it almost broke the trap. It was so big, right?
And so I've got 3 giant rats, and about maybe 4 or 5 mice or something like that. But anyway, I posted a picture of the giant rat on Facebook a few weeks back, and I was very disappointed by the response of one young lady who is she's maybe like 21 or something like that, and she's at university, so you kind of have to assume she has some sort of intelligence. I've only met her once in real life. It is a big assumption
to make.
It is a big assumption, but you have to assume she's at least looking to improve herself.
Have you seen First Years lately?
Yeah. Well, so this girl anyway, she commented, that's terrible. You should have caught it in a humane trap and then taken it out into the bush and released it. And I was like, is she kidding? Like, is she really serious? So I was like, you mean to catch and kill all those pesky Kiwis? And
touche.
To which she replied, and this was when I really became disappointed in our education system. She replied, rats are just as important to our ecosystem as Kiwis.
Jesus, man.
Like, what? No, they're not even part of our ecosystem.
The rats are part of the problem of our ecosystem. They kill and eat all the things that we need to keep the ecosystem going.
We introduced them.
They're a pest. They are known as a pest. That is the very definition of what they are, is a problem for other species of animal that it is more important to be alive on this world.
And in this country in particular. And so I was very disappointed, I guess, just by her. How could she not know that? How could she think it's okay to catch rats and release them into the bush, which is literally the worst thing you can do with them?
Important question. Was she hot?
Well, she's not bad, actually.
All is forgiven.
All is forgiven. Yeah, she's not bad, actually.
That is a bit disappointing. But also that rat, you would know, that rat had a mane. It was like a lion of a rat. It had this really, like it had been out in the Himalayas training to be the biggest rat you've ever seen.
It was the Rocky Balboa of rats.
And it was a beast. It was a little bit, it chilled me. When I saw that photo on Facebook, I actually got a chill, of fear, of actual legitimate, I was fucking scared.
Well, at least you didn't have to touch the fucking thing to get it out of the trap.
I know, you were a brave man.
We're just cracking open a wee cider here because I've been doing some market research for an anonymous cider brand. And,
I've got a review of this one.
Oh, yeah, you don't like it?
Not great.
Yeah, well, so basically they've given me, what they do is they give you $40 to come in for 40 minutes or so, drink some cider, answer some questions about it, then they give you 12 ciders, send you home with them, and you've got to fill out an online form for another $40. So, good deal.
Yeah,
good deal.
Not bad.
$80 and some free ciders for 45 minutes or an hour of my time. And so yeah, we're just sipping on these. These ones are labeled D. We don't know what they are, but Guy doesn't love the D.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the D. So film talk this episode.
Yes.
We've got a few things. This is kind of a relationship centric episode, I feel.
Right.
But first I just wanted we said there was going to be a big zombie announcement.
Yeah, we kind of,
and we've got a big announcement to make, guys.
You ready for this?
So you ready? Okay, the big announcement
about
is...
I Survived a Zombie Holocaust,
our film,
which we've been working on for 4 years, 5 years.
6 years.
6 years, whatever.
Feature film. Now, the big announcement is we are going to have a big announcement about I Survived a Zombie Holocaust on April the 6th.
Yeah! All right. Cool.
So what we're saying is...
Tune in next week and the week
we're
after.
going to have some official news to officially release. There'll be a big brouhaha. There'll be all sorts of things going on April the 6th. However, we can't officially announce anything just yet except that official announcement.
Yeah.
Big news.
Big news.
Secondly, just dipped into the Guy and Harley show, episode 3. Started writing that.
Yeah, so we shot a sitcom called the Guy and Harley sitcom. We shot the first 2 episodes with the intention of pitching it to the networks and so on to try and get some funding, and then it kind of fell by the wayside as we got really busy with Older, and it had been shot, it had been edited, and was just sitting there. And then finally, eventually, we were kind of like, oh fuck it, let's just release it, let's just put it out on the internet because it's kind of just going to fade away into obscurity otherwise. And we did, and we were quite overwhelmed by the very positive response that it's received.
Everyone loved it.
It's had about 70,000 views now on YouTube.
Yep.
And lots of likes and shares and so on the old Facebook. And so we sort of got inspired again and thought, let's shoot some more episodes.
Also, I think one thing that happened here was that an actress from the zombie film, as a matter of fact, was like, hey, if we come over for this big zombie announcement that you guys are going to be announcing soon, can I be on your web show? I really want to shoot an episode of your web show, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And that is quite a rare thing.
To have good actors requesting to be on your self-funded sitcom.
And that's the thing is because this is the thing, you always get people go, hey, come and shoot my thing. Let's shoot my cool thing. You guys do all the work for that and shoot it, and that'll be really cool, right, guys? And it's like, well, no, not that cool, because that's not our thing. That's, you want to do that, and we're going to do that, and it's going to take a lot more work for us than it is for you. But whereas, so if you want to work with and collaborate with people, quite a good suggestion is to suggest being in their thing as opposed to them doing your thing for you.
Yeah. Oh, my heart drops every time people are like, "Hey man, I've got this idea. Do you think you could like film it for me?" I'm always like, well, no, man. Like, if I'm filming anything, it's going to be one of our own projects, right? If I'm going to put in all that work and effort, I'm not interested in filming someone else's thing. Yeah.
Well, I will say too, like, it really, jump-started this thing. We were like, if this actress comes over
in May,
then we'll sort of shoot this. And, and that's something to work towards for us. Like, I really enjoyed filming the Guy and Harley show. It's a fun thing to film. It's a fun thing to write as well. I'm about 8 pages into the new script. And I haven't been writing for a while, so it's gotten me inspired to write again, to sort of make the time to do some writing, but just because it's like it's a fun thing, and writing comedy is really enjoyable for me. That's one of the things that comes very naturally. But it's all kind of, she was the catalyst to this thing, kind of kicking off and getting started. So for actresses, actors, if you want to sort of, work with cool people, and I'm saying we're cool.
Yep.
Then, do it the other way. Come in and say, hey, man, can I be part of your thing? And how can we make this happen? And how can I help you make your thing happen by being part of it?
Yeah. So that is quite exciting that we've got that coming out, or coming up finally, because it's actually been more than a year now since we filmed a proper project.
Harley just told me that, which chilled me to the bone.
The last one was Older,
and then I was like, but we were doing reshoots on the Older at this time, and it's like, that time being February last year, and it's like, oh wait, it's February, it's past February this year.
So
that's a fucking year.
A year has just shot on by without us filming any major project. We've filmed a couple of little tiny bits and pieces here and there, but nothing proper. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there, and that is that time slips on by, and you got to really sort of make a conscious effort to stay proactive with your filmmaking, because it can just easily fall by the wayside. And this has happened before as well. This is not the first time this has happened. You just get caught up with other things, and then next thing you know, it's been a year since you filmed anything. You wonder if you still can.
Yeah, you wonder if you can still get it up, so to speak. And that's the thing. I think that, for me, I've sort of made a plan in my 30s. It's like, okay, what do I want to do? Because my 30s is going to be gone, fucking tomorrow. I really, I'm very much aware that soon we're going to be sitting here podcasting at 40.
40 years old, doing for 8 years.
And, we'll be like, so what did you do in your 30s? What happened? And it's like, well, I hopefully shot, these things that I specifically, work towards. But it's so easy for it to slip away on you. So don't let it slip away, dear listener.
And if you haven't seen the Guy and Harley show and you would like to, make sure you go onto Facebook, search for Pigville Productions, and on our fan page there is both episode 1 and episode 2, and they are well worth a watch, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. Certainly it's funny. So now we had a listener question.
Yes.
Relationships. We're talking about porn and how it affects relationships.
Yes. Now, this was from a friend of ours who was, due to his religious upbringing, he couldn't really have sex for sort of his first 10 years of adulthood, because he hadn't really come out of that shell yet.
Talk about wasted 10 years.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's actually how he feels. He does feel that way. He feels like, man, I wasted the first sort of 10 years of my adulthood not having sex and not doing these great enjoyable things because of my religion. And he got over that.
God damn you, religion.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like he got over it, and and I guess now he has lots of sex. But the thing is that for that 10 years, he watched a lot of porn, because that was where he got his sexual education from, basically.
And turned into an insane person. No, we don't know that.
Well, so his question is, how does pornography affect relationships? Does it have an effect on relationships? And have you had any experiences, Guy?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a lot of... Okay, for one thing, the first time that I saw sex, right, was a porno.
Yeah.
Right? And this
never walked in on your parents?
yeah, but that was afterwards.
After you watched porno?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first watched porno?
Well, this is the problem. I think I must have been maybe 10.
Right.
Or maybe 11.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, of course, now to a 10, 11-year-old these days, he'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, old man?
Yeah.
I've been watching porn since I was 6.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's because of the internet. But you see, you have to understand that back when I was 11...
it was VHS or magazines.
There was no internet, right? So the only way that you could see porn, and that was normally the way that it was trafficked, was in nudie mags.
Mm-hmm.
The old Playboy magazines that your dad had or something hidden somewhere, and, you know, someone would always find them and pass them around and like, hey, check out these naked chicks. But that's not the same as seeing sex, right? And so basically what happened is we set upon this idea that we would order some porn from the newspaper. The newspaper.
Yeah.
They don't even have newspaper. You use newspapers to burn up your kindling now.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, this was back when you used to even look at the ads. Can you even imagine looking at the classified section of a newspaper now?
Laughable. Although they do still exist, so they must be making some money.
Oh, from people over 60.
Yeah, I guess.
But anyway, this is before Trade Me, this is before everything, so there was ads and it's like, order these porns.
Yeah.
You know, $40, right?
Yeah.
So my friend was like, hey, how about we order this porn? We can't order it under my name because my name is Mark Agate, right? and my dad's name is Mark Agate. So if
Right.
I order it to my place,
Yeah.
my dad is going to open up this porn.
Yeah.
You know, so why don't we order it to your place?
Yeah.
And I'll pay for it.
Uh-huh.
And I think we might have even had to make a phone call for it.
Yeah.
You know, I can't really
Yeah,
remember.
well, I mean, you weren't emailing them, obviously.
No.
So you had to write them a letter.
So
or you'd have to call them.
we basically got these two porns, Kelly 18 and Debbie Does Dallas.
Kelly 18.
Kelly 18.
Yeah, I came on board a couple of years after this,
Yeah.
or a few years after this, and I got to see a few beat up VHS
Yeah,
copies
after
of
people
this.
wore them to death. But the thing was, so basically, we ordered these porn, came in the mail, guy pigged in, you know, mysterious brown package, just
Yeah.
sitting on my kitchen table. So
Yeah.
my parents had brought it in.
Yeah,
but
for their
I don't.
10-year-old son.
I don't think they asked about it.
Really? It's
I
interesting.
don't think they were like, hey. I think they were just like, mail's here for you. You know, they
Yeah.
weren't like, hey, what is that weird VHS shaped
Yeah.
package there? And I was like, no, thanks. I might even been like, oh yeah, thanks. Here's just some books. I wanted some books. You know, some fantasy
But
books.
if you shook that
Yeah.
VHS, it wouldn't have sounded like a book. It would have sounded like a VHS.
Yeah.
And they almost certainly did give it a wee shake.
I don't know. I really don't think that they were really clocking that sort of thing.
But why not? Why would you not like?
But because
your
the
10-year-old son, you're gonna be like, well, he doesn't normally receive mail, and now he's receiving a strange brown package.
I think they to be honest, my parents, I don't think they gave that much of a shit.
Yeah.
And just in terms of like they kind of left me to my own devices. So anyway, we got this, and then we had to wait till everyone was gone to watch it.
Yeah.
Because again, there's no clicking on your computer, your laptop
Yeah.
in your room, and the privacy
wait
of your
till the
room.
lounge is free.
Exactly. So it's when are our parents going to get the fuck out of here so we
Yeah.
can watch these people? And so anyway, eventually we did get to it, and honestly, I started watching this porn. It was Kelly 18, the first one I watched, and my heart dropped. My heart.
Really?
Yeah, I was so I wasn't like, this is amazing. First I was like, is this what sex is?
Yeah.
How? What? This
Yeah.
is not, what I've been led to believe in TV and movies, and even in books, your little, because my parents were sort of at 6 gave us a little sort of fold out book of there's no one in those books. There's no one coming on anyone's face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no one saying weird stuff as they're having sex
Yeah.
and spanking and choking people. All of that stuff was not part of the thing. And so I saw all this stuff, these guys with these massive dongs, which again, are 11
Dwarfed yours.
Exactly. They dwarf mine now, but they it was, it's like going up against the Death Star,
Yeah.
the fucking Millennium Falcon going towards the Death Star at that stage,
Yeah.
when I was 10.
Yeah.
Hadn't even really hadn't hit puberty, no chance.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait, so this is it? These guys with these massive cocks just fuck for 30 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight, and they do all this weird stuff. And I was like, what is this? Like, I was I was literally scarred, possibly for life.
Yeah.
And I was like, this seems wrong to me. I don't understand it. I'm upset.
Mark, stop whacking off, please.
Mark, will you please stop jerking off while
Mark was a couple of years older.
Because I'm trying to get my head around this, and I find that very distracting. And it was the situation where it was just like, oh man, like this is all wrong, and it was definitely not good for me at that time to see a porn.
Yeah.
Not at all. And, to be honest, porn is not sex at all. Like, what you see in pornos, like, it's different if you see, like, sort of, I guess amateur porn is different, and like some porn is kind of normal, but there's a lot of weird or just stuff that's not really true. It's not really true to sex. It's not really true to relationship sex.
The responses from the women, I feel, are certainly not true to real sex. Pornography women. They're acting 100%. Like, there's no possible way they're enjoying, like, probably 90% of what gets done.
Exactly. And so kind of selling the illusion of that. And all of that is it was just very demoralizing, very upsetting. And I kind of watched them one time and I was like, that's it, I'm done. Yeah. Until, like, a few years later.
When you couldn't stop watching them.
Well, those VHS tapes sort of went into circulation around my friends. And even then I was kind of like, guys, why do you even care about this shit? This is horrible.
Yeah.
This is, but then at a certain point you're kind of like, but it does have like boobies and vaginas and these are cool things to see.
Yeah.
But so I would say that, like, and I do worry about the kids of today, the 6-year-old who's like watching these weird porn. And in fact, there was a film, right, where basically this teenager's watched so much porn that he just he's got so deep into it that he's just loving kind of super kind of weird fucked up shit, and normal stuff does not arouse him anymore. So he's got to do this weird shit before he can even like get it up. And that's the kind of thing that I worry about for today's youth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like there's certainly something to be said there. Like, it could happen. I read an article just today actually about a guy who gave up porn for a month. Because basically it would become a mechanical thing. He would finish his day, he'd go home, just before he went to bed, he'd go to RedTube, he'd have a wank.
Yep.
Sort of scrub through the video to the points that he wanted to see.
Yep.
And then he'd have a wank and come and go to sleep. And then he said, I'm going to go off porn for a month. And he said that, at first it was very exciting, because he was actually using his imagination instead of just watching. But then he said, like, after like a week or two, he sort of hit this wall where he could no longer come up with anything new.
Yep.
Like, he was jerking off about the same people doing the same things, and he could just no longer use his imagination to really get him where he was going.
Porn had broken his imagination.
Basically.
Think about that.
And he sort of said, I know this is like so horrible to say, but like, I was too lazy to think up anything, It was too hard to come up with fresh concepts that were going to turn me on. So I ended up just getting bored, and I actually ended up stopping masturbating for a little while, until, but then he says he came out of that phase and he sort of, now he's got a very vibrant imagination, and, basically he's recovered from his porn and he's decided to continue on.
He's a recovering porn watcher.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think it's interesting, and I think, that's the problem, is that, like, also the mind, right? The human mind needs stimulus, right? And what happens is, everything is stimulating to begin with, and then it becomes normal, and then it becomes boring. And that is the 3 phases of kind of
everything.
Exactly. Your mind sort of. So at first you see porn, you're like, whoa, like. If you're not 10, you're like, whoa, man, this is cool. And then you're like, whoa, man, this is normal. And then you're like, whoa, man, this is boring. So I need to find something slightly weirder and more fetishistic to jerk off to. And then, of course, if you continue down that path after 10 years, you're being hung up on some pulleys jerking off to some lady's feet. Like.
Well, that's okay though. We're not saying that you shouldn't do that.
That's wrong. at all.
I guess what it really, when it comes down to it, is when you start having something that is harmful to yourself or others. You know, if you get so jaded that the only way you can get off is to like, you know, do something harmful. Well, that's when it becomes a problem. And I guess it is sort of a kind of a logical road eventually. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, not that I would suggest that watching porn leads to sexual predators and so on, because I don't think that's the case.
No, more weird fetishes, I think, probably. But also, you know, I think, you know, that's one side of the porn diagram. Mm-hmm. But what about the other side, which is watching porn while you're in the actual relationship? Yeah. Now, I mean, again, I will say, I've cautionary tale here, guys.
You've been caught? You got caught jerking off to porn?
Well, yes, of course, but I mean, that's not what I was going to say. is basically what happened is... you know, I've watched porn with several of my girlfriends, and you know, just you know, like
just for a lark.
Yeah, just watch porn,
spice things up a little.
Exactly, just something different. And you know, for sometimes that was just totally fine, and it was just like an interest, like just different deviation. You're like, these people having sex, we're having sex. Woo, kinky. You know, like
it's like a foursome.
Yeah, it was exactly. And so that was fine, but then. You get into this situation where, you know, was sort of one of my girlfriends was kind of like, what's the first thing we do? Put on the porn. Yeah. And then it's
too
kind
much.
And exactly. And so then you're kind of like, every time you have sex, you're putting on porn. Otherwise, it's not as good as when you didn't have the porn on. Yeah. Which, you know, you're becoming much more detached from the intimacy of what you're doing together back and forth. And, you know, it can, I think, create problems where you're just like, oh, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to have sex. Well, get the porn on. For God's sake, get the fucking porn on.
I don't want to have
to think about you. Yeah. For God's sake, I really don't want to have to think about you. So please. Yeah. And I think, you know, that's damaging. That's bad. What are your thoughts on the porn and relationships?
Well, I mean, I just thought I'd hark back to my first experiences of porn or sex, where I walked out of my mum having sex when I was like 7, I guess, 7 or 8, something like that.
Just as traumatic as watching any fucking porn.
But I mean, I think I had quite a sexualized childhood anyway. Yep. So I kind of knew about a lot of this stuff. Yep. And the thing was, I didn't really see porn, I don't think, until I was like kind of quite old. Like I think I glimpsed a few magazines when I was 10ish, you know, and the first time I saw a video was possibly Cali 18 or Debbie Does Dallas when I was like 14, and it was yours. It was literally yours. Yep. And I'm pretty sure I saw it at Nick's house. Yeah. Our friend Nick.
I'd literally given imagine this, I'd given these tapes away.
He had corrupted his own brain, and then he wanted to pass it amongst his friends.
I let the poison seep in.
The typhoid Mary of the porn, this porn sickness that was going around.
So, like, basically what I'm saying is me and all my friends are perverted freaks.
And it's all because of you and
demented,
Mark.
And it was Mark's fault, really. He masterminded the whole thing.
Well, he was a little bit older than you too, so shame on you, Mark. But I can't say I've had any issues with relationships with porn. I guess maybe, you know, the issue would maybe be if you get so bored of having sex with your girlfriend, and you know, so what you do is you whack off when she's not around, and then that leads to not being horny when she is around. You know,
that's a So there's a risk.
Exactly,
that's
you know,
easy to fall.
Exactly, you know, you watch porn when she's at work, she comes home, you can't be bothered. Sex falls by the wayside.
So basically, what we're saying to everyone is porn is bad. But we're all still watching it.
Well, I'm not. I don't watch too much of it, but I guess I am in a relationship that probably helps.
That might have something to do with it.
But you know, I still catch a glimpse every now and then.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, look, I think also, you know, I think this is an interesting topic too, is, you know, like, that's real porn, right? But, you know, the television and film industry is just as sort of guilty of sort of pushing forward these sort of weird ideas of what sex is. You know, theirs is sort of a more highly romanticized version of it, but there was this, basically the sex doctor who was talking about sex in film and television. He was saying it was basically like what, and the same with porn, is like define it as kabuki sex, which is kind of like weird, like sex that isn't real and that is somehow weird, like for instance, you know, in Sex in a Movie, both people come in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Sex in a movie, only the girl comes, but the guy never comes.
Yeah.
You know, like in the movie, it's all very like, you know, it's shot beautifully, beautiful inserts, beautiful everything. But like when you're actually having sex, it's not playing out like a movie like that.
Not
It's
at all.
a lot of grunting and
It's all awkward
groaning and like
I've got a cramp.
You get a cramp in your foot.
You know, I'm really thirsty.
You got to stop because you get out of breath.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's
geez.
just me.
It's just sorry. Wait there. I've got to go pee.
I've got to piss. I've got to piss. We've been doing this for a while, and I have to piss because this is just no longer fun anymore.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, actually, you know, like there's just so many things that are kind of like that is never. And also the idea, like I think that, you know, if you were to watch a TV show or whatever, or a film, I should say, the idea that the girl's always going to have an orgasm.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like,
that's laughably inaccurate.
which we can both verify. It's 100% false.
so can our ex-girlfriends.
But, you know, there's that idea, and so then you go into it going like, why isn't she not doing all these things that are on the movies? Like, why isn't she reacting to these things that I'm doing in the same way? And why is it making this weird, like, slapping, like, you know, moist, mushy sound? I didn't hear that in the movie.
They didn't do that in the Notebook. You know.
And so I think that, you know, we are certainly a little bit guilty, and you know, you will see exceptions to this stuff, but often they'll be kind of lambasted for you know, being
portraying it in real life.
Yeah, being like too graphic or, you know, kind of extortionate in some way. But often those are kind of actually more realistic depictions of sex.
Yeah, I always thought it would be quite interesting to shoot a scene in a film where it's sex but done in a real life way. So there is all that grunting and slapping, ball slapping, and you know, stopping to go pee and all that type of thing.
Stopping to pee, yep.
But at the end of it all, like, it's actually good sex. Like, the people have had good sex. It's just they've had good real life sex.
And we sort of did try to like do these types of scenes in older. Yeah, to be honest. And failed, really.
Right.
Because
you ended up shooting something too cinematic.
Well, a little bit too cinematic, but just because, you know, what you quickly find about the realistic stuff is it's not great to look at.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just kind of like, it is obviously quite drawn out. Like, it's difficult to do it, like, it's just very difficult to portray sex realistically, but not disgustingly.
Yeah. Which it is. It is gross when other people are doing it.
Yeah. Like, you know? When you walk in on someone having sex, the first instinct, well, it depends who you are, I guess, but the first thing is not to like sit down and get out of popcorn.
No.
You're kind of like, oh, gross. Oh my God, I think I saw his bull. Oh my God, this is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that they're kind of struggling a little bit with that in cinema, but we could absolutely do it more accurately.
I think that we did actually quite a pretty decent portrayal of sex, realistic sex, as the opening scene of the Guy and Harley show.
If you want to see what sex is all about.
Yeah, the first episode of the Guy and Harley show opens with a sex scene. So you want to check that out. And I think it's actually quite a good portrayal of kind of real life bad sex.
Real life sex going wrong.
Yeah, but still sex.
And that was certainly my intention.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that scene.
You know, like, this is not ideal. And even a scene a bit later where you're trying to coerce some sex from your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite true as well of like, you know, you've been in a relationship for quite a while, and, you know, it's sometimes a bit harder to get up the motivation.
It can be a bit of a chore sometimes.
Or the guy is very motivated, but he's still completely motivated, but it's the girl that's not. Well, this leads us into a question, a very serious question that we received. Well, reasonably serious. So this was from Freddie Fudpucker. Who is a musician, and you should find him on the old Facebook, Freddie Fudpucker. He plays sort of this cool kind of folky country kind of rock stuff, I guess. It's I don't know. I'm no critic. I don't know what you'd label it as, but it's good. It's interesting. I downloaded the album and I like it. So give it a hoon, Freddie Fudpucker. So anyway, he asks, last night I watched Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures for the first time in about a decade. Aside from maybe just a little too much running around annoyingly and maniacal laughing, I was surprised at just how good it was. There are many amazing scenes. I think one of the coolest scenes is the one where they finally spend a night together exploring their sexuality. The scene is incredibly creative, not in that it's very sexy, because it's not. It's
it's because it's not sexy and it doesn't try to be. It's just about them being lost in their love. So apart from the obvious that sex sells, why do we think that in the majority of mainstream films these days, romantic feelings, and more specifically homosexual romance, is reduced to something to laugh at or fetishized to the point of soft porn? So Jesus, Fred, have you got anything intelligent to say about that, guy?
Well, I do have a couple of comments. I mean, I think that, if you look to foreign films, that's done a little bit better. I think an example of that most recently is Blue is the Warmest Colour, which was all about a lesbian relationship.
Yeah, I believe that Angie hired that recently.
Yeah. And also, if you look to maybe, for a Hollywood example, Brokeback Mountain.
Yep.
Although there was some sort of disturbing stuff said around Brokeback Mountain by the two actors who had to play the gay, Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, Gyllenhaal. Whatever Hall. Yeah. Something Hall. Hawley. Is they basically said, like, both in sort of separate interviews, they were kind of like, I feel like they just, had a lot of love for each other and they kind of fell into this situation because of their closeness and because of, basically saying that both of them weren't gay, both characters weren't gay, and they just fell into fucking, like, mad gay men for this period of time because they're out in Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah. And which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was almost like they're trying to distance themselves from the gayness of the idea of the film.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, well, it sort of undoes all the good work, which is, undoes all the whole idea, I guess, is kind of to make a film about homosexual love that is not about homosexual love. It's just about love, and they happen to be two men.
Yep.
That would have been a much better way to kind of tackle that, I feel. My thoughts were just that the reason why a lot of the mainstream films are this way is because they're made by heterosexual people for heterosexual people, Although
the Hollywood industry as a whole might disagree with you, and some actors.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of gay people, sure, but
I guess it's like a heterosexual community full of gay people working towards the heterosexual ideas.
Yeah, and the majority of people.
Yes.
Well, by the traditional kind of...
look, realistically speaking, by the reality of, population growth and all that stuff, you'd have to say that it's not a 50-50 split, obviously, between, it's but maybe, what would you say, 70-30?
Well, the thing is, I actually, I think that sexuality isn't so much this black and white
Romans.
thing. Romans? Because they
did whatever they wanted to do, and no one frowned upon that.
No one gave a shit.
It was like, well, you go both ways, bro. Sweet ass.
Oh, gee. I think that sexuality is actually more of a spectrum than it is this black, white, and grey thing. Because I think a lot of people would sort of say, oh, well, there's gay and there's straight and there's bi, right? There's the three things that you can be. But actually, I think it's more like there's sort of a spectrum from white to black, and white being 100% homosexual to the point where you are actually revolted by the thought of a vagina. Right to the other end of the spectrum being black, where you are completely revolted by the thought of homosexual.
Where do you fall in the spectrum?
Well, I think that almost all people fall somewhere well in the middle of that. I am not repulsed by homosexual sex. But
you don't want a dong in your face.
I also don't want a dong in my face. So I'd say that I'm somewhere up around the 95% straight region, but there's probably some 5% curiosity in there or something like that, So I reckon that's probably more a more accurate thing than this sort of black white bi straight gay, and so basically we're all a little bit gay, or most of us.
Yeah. Well, I think that the issue is it is just a sort of I think it's a popularity thing, and just in a sense, because like I said, we've just given a couple of examples. Also, Nymphomaniac. I'm pretty sure there was I've watched that, both parts of it, and I think she had a few lesbian relationships in there as well.
I haven't seen it, so it's about a movie, a movie about a woman that is an nymphomaniac.
Yeah,
right.
And so it's not that these things aren't being done, but of course, it's all about the mainstream, because I just think there's an inherent challenge. So because you're saying to people, and we're just saying that people are citing, like, just say it as a 70-30 split, right? So you're saying to what the 70% that aren't sort of doing this stuff, like, hey, be interested in this and like be as captivated by this as you would the thing that you relate to. So that means that the film has to be like even more excellent than normal. And people don't want to take that risk, you know. And I guess for me, like, I don't, like, I've certainly got no problems writing gay characters or anything like that, but because I'm not, I don't, like, I'm probably not going to tell a story about them. Yeah. And I also think that
it also makes it much more difficult to tell a convincing story
accurately
when you're not telling it from a perspective that you understand. Yeah.
And so if you then like take that into account of people that become directors or filmmakers, again, there's going to be that skew of like, more of them are going to be straight than not. And so it all kind of just, it's a bit of a cycle. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go, Freddie.
So there you go.
Solved it.
Yeah, there you go. So good question. Good question, Freddie.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Now, where do we go next? We were going to maybe, I don't know if keeping with this theme or not. Yeah. Or should we branch off and, well, keeping with this theme, there was losing virginities.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we want to touch on that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to go first or shall I?
Oh, well, look, when I lost my virginity.
Yes.
Tell
us about it, Guy.
It was a big race.
Tell the internet about it.
It was a big race to do it before I turned 17.
Yeah.
Because basically what had happened, like, this was the weird thing that had happened, right? Is that, I guess when we were sort of 14 and stuff, people were like going out with girls. Yeah. Like that was kind of the time of going out with girls. And it was kind of like, what? You guys are all doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you mean? You a girl?
Come around to my place. We'll play Killer Instinct.
Yeah, Killer Instinct on the old N64. Yeah. Come on, guys. Look, this girl stuff doesn't have a future. Yeah. But
Yeah.
fucking co-op, fucking Contra 3. Yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, and even that I was a bit late to the party on. But so then it was like dating and kissing girls, and to be honest, like, that was a plenty for me. That was like quite overwhelming for me. Yeah, just like kissing a girl was like a real intense. I was like, holy shit, bro, I'm gonna be peeking off this for days.
Yeah.
So like, I was kind of like, so, we'd all been, so then it had been established, okay, we're all doing that. We're all dating girls, we're all kissing girls. Yeah. From time to time. And then, like, just people was kind of just like, oh, yeah, they're having sex. Oh, yeah, like, yeah, he lost his virginity. Like, he's not a virgin anymore. Yeah. And then it was kind of like, yeah, we all not virgins anymore.
Yeah.
Are you a virgin? And it was like, what? What are you? What? What? Get out! Yeah, I'm totally No, I'm doing those things too.
I have heaps of sex.
And it was sort of like, oh shit. So this is the thing. So I thought we was just all kissing girls, but what you're telling me that you guys are fucking boning?
Yeah.
So
what the fuck is a clitoris?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is another level, because I wasn't really ready to go past, like, kissing I was still good with. Yeah. Kissing could have lasted me another good year, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyway, it was kind of like, yeah. So they kind of just, it's kind of like now where all our friends start having kids, or get married. Like, they just drop one by one. They drop to this thing.
And here we are. We're still good for another few years.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so virginities were dropping off, and then it was kind of like, yeah, we kind of all had sex except you. Yeah. And it was like, damn, well, I can't be this guy that's just... And then I was kind of like thinking about it in my head, like mentally, and I was like, 17-year-old virgin? Yeah. Doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Sounds wrong.
Yeah.
So, then it became like this thing of like, okay, well, yeah, well, I should, but like, this is now really important. This is like a big goal. This is a life goal right here.
Yeah.
So we gotta do this. So anyway, you know, I had a girlfriend, and you know, like, you know, lovely girl, and you know, super cool. But you know, it was funny because, you know, like the first thing she said when we started going out, she's like, "Yeah, we're not gonna have sex like right away." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I was like, "But I'm turning 17 soon, and that's why we're going out, is to have the sex."
Yeah.
You know, like, this is what do you mean wait, what do you mean learn about each other and get to know each other? What is this bullshit?
Yeah.
Like, it was,
I know about you. Your favorite color's blue.
yeah. we talked for like 5 minutes on the phone the other day. You know, like, what is this?
Yeah.
So then, you know, kind of, and so, but eventually, and also sometimes if I'd say something too smart, she'd be like, "Do you want to be a virgin when you're 17?
Yeah.
Like, that was often her comeback to something smart I'd said, and I'd be like, "No, ma'am." You know, like, just wander off and pick her a flower.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, we had like, and so it was all set up. We had sex the first time.
How long had you been together?
I don't know, maybe a couple of months. Maybe, and we'd done other stuff. We'd done a bunch of other stuff. We just hadn't had sex.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, all that other stuff was plenty for me.
Yeah. Man, I got a lot to work with here.
Yeah. But we did it, and I remember the first thing about, like, I remember doing it was, like, you know, I was just like, damn, was that it?
Yeah.
Like, this is shit. Basically.
All this build up for this?
Yeah, like, essentially I was like, this is 100%, again, going back to the TV movie. I was like, this isn't what I like in the movies. Like, this is really mechanical, a little bit mechanical, and also just like, it doesn't feel very good. Like, this is like, I was like, you mean this is the thing? This is the number one thing in life?
Yeah. This is what it's all about.
And we got to this. And so I was like, quite like, and you know, and then I was like, should we try it again?
Yeah.
And so, you know, we had sex a couple of times that night, or 3 times, I think. You know, but it was
the man.
Yeah, boy. And anyway, talking about bigging up my 16-year-old self. Hey man, I was using a condom, so come on, give me double respect.
Yeah. Well, yes, safety is very respectful. It's very good.
No, I meant for being able to do it 3 times with a condom.
Yeah, well, you can't feel shit.
So anyway, I was horrified, like, really just at the kind of the blandness of it all. And then we were sort of fooling around one other time, and it slipped in without the condom, and it was a hallelujah moment. it was a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh,
now I get it.
This is why it's so good.
Popular.
This is what people like.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it now. Oh, condoms are a really bad thing.
That's what you got from it?
Yeah, that was my takeaway. It was just like, I was just like, man, condoms are so terrible. Like, if I'd only done it this way the first time.
Well, somebody needs to invent a condom that does not feel like nothing.
Apparently, Bill Gates is working on that.
Oh, good on you, Bill.
Yeah, good on you, Bill. So you understand that you know that Bill Gates loves having sex with his wife without a condom.
Yeah.
He fucking loves it, and he wants to do it right.
Or he just wants to see the world change, you know? Maybe if
he wants to see popular
pregnancy.
Right. So what about you?
Well, you know, I was in the same race with Guy. Beat him.
Smug bastard.
Only by like a couple of months, though.
But you did, I'm sure, lord it over me at the time.
Oh, I have no doubt about it.
I'm sure you would have made a lot of jokes at my expense.
Oh, of course. This is what I do. No, well, like, to be honest, though, I lost my virginity twice. Because the first time was when I was 10 with a girl who was 10.
Yeah.
Right, so that was an anomaly. That was quite unusual. It was like a friend of the family, and I'd known her since I was like 4.
Yeah.
And I'd always liked her. And always wanted her to. I'd always like asked her to be my girlfriend and stuff like that. And she was never interested. In fact, one time she said she'd be my girlfriend if my friend and I went into the basement under the house with her, and he and I we had to take our clothes off, and then she'd be my girlfriend.
Did you do it?
So we went under there and took our clothes off, and then she laughed and ran away and shut the door.
Good prank.
Good prank, and there I was standing there naked with my friend. And then one night I was staying over at her house, and we were top and tailing when we were literally 10, and we could hear her mum having sex in the next room along, and she was like, Harley, do you want to... Oh, nothing. And then I was like, what? Have sex?
You go, what? Have sex? Have sex right now?
Yeah.
Me put it inside you right now? This very instant? Is that what you're saying?
And then she was like, yeah. And we did. And I was not really that impressed. Like the same sort of, I was kind of I was like, what is this? This is just slimy and I feel bad. And
this feels wrong.
And then I was the one that stopped us. I was like, I think we should stop doing this now. And the deal was the person who was on the bottom had to have the pillow over their face. That was the deal.
Which would
Not
lead into
role.
a weird fetish later in life.
Yeah, I was smothering women. I was smothering women with a pillow. So, but then I kind of never really counted that because, I didn't come, I don't know, I was prepubescent.
Yeah.
And then, so when I was 16, I really still kind of felt like a virgin.
Yeah.
And then, I met this girl who will remain nameless, but I really liked her at the time, and she kind of ushered me. She was a lot more experienced than me, and kind of ushered me into manhood.
AKA slut.
Well, you said it, not me. I didn't say anything. I hope she's not listening.
Happy to juggle a bag full of dicks.
So she ushered me into adulthood. Is what happened there. But I remember thinking similar sort of stuff. I was kind of like, wow, was that it? Is that what all the hype is about?
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah.
But of course, it got better as I got better and as I grew to enjoy it more.
Yeah. And that's what happens. So, kids, have sex without a condom for the first time.
Yeah.
To know what it truly feels like.
Yeah, and do it when you're 10. So that's what you can take away from this podcast.
But speaking of relationship issues, I'm single.
Yep.
I've been single for a little while.
I can't see why. I just can't imagine why.
Single for a little while. And, we were chatting the other day and your girlfriend joked that my ex-girlfriend, not the one that we talked about last time,
a different
my
one.
most recent one, that she secretly hated me.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of... And then I started thinking about it.
You're like, wait a minute.
And I was like, hey, hang on a second. There's some merit to this joke.
Yeah.
Because, I sort of started looking back on it, and, there was a lot of things that she was really not impressed about me. And look, I'm not going to say I'm the perfect boyfriend. Far from it. I'm an obsessive filmmaker, and that creates its own problems and, can be very frustrating. And I completely empathize and understand that. But there was just some fundamental core things that she sort of just really annoyed her. Basically everything about me annoyed her.
Everything that made you
was the things that she had. So, she often found what I talked about quite boring.
Yep.
Didn't really like my angles of conversation.
Well, what kind of things did you like talking about?
Well, obviously...
Was it films all the time?
Yes and no. Of course I'm going to talk about films.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to talk about filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of the stuff I'm doing. But,
yeah.
That's not my only... sort of stuff that what we talk about here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Are you guys interested?
Well, hopefully they're still listening. So yeah.
So kind of found my conversation boring. One time I sort of found out that she'd said she'd always imagined being with someone better looking.
Oh.
Now that was my fault for finding. I shouldn't have found that out. I did some snooping.
Snoop.
She left her Facebook open.
And you snooped.
And I snooped.
Terrible,
I did
bro.
snoop. But so she wanted to be with someone better looking than me.
Ouch.
She didn't really like movies.
Yeah.
Just full stop. She didn't like movies. She kind of preferred TV, but she just kind of she was just like, I don't get movies. Movies like don't do anything for me. I never used to watch movies as a kid. Movies had nothing to me. I was like, well, okay, there's a bit of a warning sign there.
Yeah.
I remember when we watched, Housebound.
Yeah.
There was we had a sort of a rivalry going with Housebound because they were both under the same umbrella as us.
We being I Survived the Zombie Holocaust
and
Housebound, both because they were funded under the same initiative in the same year, and they're both horror comedies. So a very unofficial rivalry.
Yeah. And, it's a great film, but we just had this unofficial rivalry. But she went out of her way. She took a photo of this packed out cinema of everyone there. She's like, it's packed out, bro. And I was like, okay, just be gentle. That was my sort of reaction.
Yeah.
And then afterwards she was like, it's awesome, mate. No, she was like, it's awesome. Sorry, mate. She'd never used the word sorry, mate, to me in her entire life except for then. Yeah. And then I was like...
She's taking a bit of enjoyment from Housebound.
Taking great
being
relish.
Very good.
And then she was like... and then I was like, hey, look, just take it easy, all right? I got a bit of fun. I was like, hey, I said be gentle. And she's like, what? Some people are just going to go further and do better than you. And you just have to accept that. It's not a bad thing. It's not anything to feel bad about. And I was like, you fucking bitch. Even if you think that,
don't say it.
Don't tear the man down.
The guy's spending years.
This is something I've spent 6 years on. And then your girlfriend comes on and goes, look, I really like this other thing that's kind of similar, way better than yours.
And I've seen yours.
And, it's okay to accept that some people are just going to be way better than you. So there was that. She didn't really like me, we would sort of, whenever we would sort of go do something, she hated the fact that I was quite easygoing. So, she'd be like, what do you want to do? And I'd be like, well, here's these 3 things. What do you want to do? She would hate whenever I threw it back.
Yeah.
So she'd hate that I didn't really I'd like to narrow it down and then let her make choices. She didn't like me letting her make choices.
Yeah. I think that's a bit of a universal thing. I think this is a bit of a sexist generalization here, but I feel like a lot of women just really want you to decide what the fuck you're both going to do. Right. I feel like that happens all the time. It's one of those things chicks don't dig it when you're like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Yeah. I think they're like, fucking take me on an adventure.
But I had narrowed it down to 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm presenting options because I don't want to be a bossy britches.
Yeah.
And also, I don't mind of those 3 things. We could do either of them, and I would take pleasure out of all of them.
Yeah.
So there was that. She didn't really understand why I was spending so much time making this film.
Yeah.
Well, it's my fucking whole life.
Yeah.
But she didn't really understand that, and she's not an incredibly artistic person. So again, she didn't understand the idea of pouring all this money and time into something that was giving nothing back as far as she could see. And from a creative standpoint, she didn't really understand the idea of doing something to the best of your ability if it was going to cost so much. That was just basically an arty thing. So she didn't like that. She didn't really, when we talk, she always get angry if I was just listening to her. So
wait, what?
So
she'd get angry if you were listening to her?
Yeah. So she'd be talking about something and I'd just be listening. I wouldn't be I'd be completely...
Oh, because you wouldn't be responding enough.
Because I wouldn't be interjecting into the conversation enough. Which to me, I used to interrupt people way more often. And I feel that's a good trait because it's better to listen. And if I don't now have something intelligent to say, I try not to say it, so I'm good. That's good.
This podcast is a bad example of us.
Well, this is where I've got many intelligent things to say.
So many.
57 minutes worth so far.
Yeah.
But, it would kind of piss her off when I'd just be listening and really absorbed and interested in what she had to say.
Mm-hmm. But it probably just came across you didn't care or weren't actually listening.
But I guess it's not that I didn't like reply.
She's looking for a bit of back and forth.
But it's not that I didn't reply to her or say stuff.
Yeah.
I would just kind of let her say a piece and then go, okay, well, you know, this or that or whatever. Yeah, so she wasn't a big fan of that.
So basically she hated everything about it.
And so what I've realised now, you know, circumspectly, is that she hated everything about me.
Yeah.
She was just not really on board from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I guess what I thought at the time, I was like, oh, you know, we have these things that we differ about.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I don't fundamentally hate the core of a human being.
Yeah.
But I think that she did.
Right. Yeah, I guess maybe just everything about you pissed her off.
Yeah, just wound her up just a little bit to one degree or another.
Yeah.
Wound her up.
Yeah.
So, you know, just like, I think, you know, as you're looking for your mate in this life, this journey, you know, just be cautious of finding someone that at least understands you to a degree, so that when you're off doing this crazy shit, they're like, well, I get it, you know, like at least I get it. Like, this is
sounds
frustrating.
Sounds like you need a filmmaker girlfriend or somebody who's in the biz,
or maybe like an artist or someone like that.
Someone in the creative industry.
But
so,
yeah.
do you hear that, ladies?
Yeah, but
ladies in the creative industry, get in touch with Guy. He's single and looking.
Look, I will 100% tell you right now that this is a guy podcast. There's no girls listening to this. You know, there's maybe 3. There's 3 of our 50 listeners are maybe girls.
There you go, ladies. If you are listening, let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Give us some topics to talk about for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Now I think we've probably got time for one more topic.
Sure.
And I just wanted to go back to the filmmaking. Was to talk about networking.
Yes.
And how important it is, because one of the areas that we sometimes kind of let ourselves down is that we don't do enough networking. You know, there's plenty of filmmaking events around, and there's, you know, like you know when you meet a good networker, because, you know, there are some of them out there. You know, Campbell Cooley is a very good networker, for example.
Yeah.
He's an actor up here in Auckland, and I knew of him before I even moved up to Auckland because he had added me on Facebook, and, you know, we'd had a few conversations, and then as soon as we had a party, he made an appearance, you know, and you know, and that's good work. And then as a result, we ended up using him on a few different things in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and perhaps in future projects as well. And it's very important. And so Guy and I went to a barbecue a little while back, Janet Burt's barbecue, and while we were there, we happened to meet somebody who worked for a distribution company, and it was just kind of that right time, right place, just getting out. Now, Janet works in TV, so it kind of, you know, it made sense that there might be some other sort of film and TV related people there.
Yep.
And, you know, we went to this barbecue and ended up meeting this person, which was, you know, it was good networking, and it was just sort of right time, right place, and it wouldn't have happened if we had not gone out.
Yes.
And then since then as well, we also went to the Unity Films launch party, which is Unity Films is a new production company here in Auckland, and while we were there, we met some other sort of like-minded people who are out there doing their own things and who have, you know, their own impressive resumes, and now we have that sort of real-life interaction with them that you just don't get on Facebook. It doesn't matter how many times you message somebody on Facebook, and even if you chat for hours, you don't really have that same sort of connection that you're going to have from having one beer together, you know? And so...
Also, it's very easy, like, to dismiss people in the industry as fucking crazy weirdos.
Until you meet them in person. If you actually
meet them and talk to them face to face, you go, I think you're not one. I think you're one of the normals.
Yeah.
And that is, like, an important thing. I will say, though, there is, like, you don't want to go the other way either.
And be an obsessive, annoying...
Well, no, I just think that,
networker?
like, if you go to every single one of these events, essentially every few days you got a beer in your hand, you're seeing all these people and you're talking shit about the same shit, and it just goes, like, it's just this kind of thing where you're just being seen at all these places. And you're not doing any of your work, because that's easy to do, because there's always something to go and do. And so you got to really strike a good balance between, like, getting on with your own shit and doing stuff and being productive, but also getting out there and meeting those people that you can be productive with. But I do think networking is something, it is very important. You know, to be honest, like, a lot of the, you know, like, all of the kind of career opportunities that I've ever had have in some way come about through networking. Meeting certain people at certain times, establishing, a certain thing and then sending them something or whatever. That has always, from terms of things that I've just written for other people, or even, how I met a producer on the zombie film, which was at a type of event like this. All of these things are important, and also just it's good to go get out there and get the lay of the land sometimes. Like we spoke with Roseanne Lang, was it?
Yeah.
And just had an interesting conversation about her work and what she was doing, and it's really good to know what
She's
your
the director
of
writer, or is she writer?
Writer and director, yep,
of My
3.
Wedding and Other Secrets
and Flat 3. So she did this very successful feature film,
Yep.
which was the highest grossing New Zealand film of that year. And she's also gone on to do this successful web series, Flat 3.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting to talk to her and talk about her journey and just kind of pick her brains a little bit and just see what she was up to. And that is always very good. It's quite inspiring too. Networking is important.
That's the conclusion.
Networking
That's
is
the bit of
important.
advice. But in all honesty, every networking coffee or beer I've had with someone, which is where I basically meet somebody, a stranger that I've never met before. I meet them via Facebook or something like that, and meet them in person for a coffee. Every single time, it has benefited us in some way. For example, we got a VFX guy to do the visual effects on our skit, the Super Saiyan shit. Sam Spooner.
Yep.
I met him for a networking beer one day, and then I don't know, 6 months or a year later or something like that, I approached him to do the VFX, and he was on board, and he probably wouldn't have been if he hadn't met me in person.
Well, and also I think that's it is. I mean, it's a relationship of people. That is what filmmaking is, and relationships with people. And so I think that it can never, I think there's always that thing too where you're sitting at home and you're like, oh, I can't be fucked. I can't be fucked going out there and talking to these fucking, because I'd probably start talking to one of the weird people and I'll get trapped in a conversation with them for an hour and I can't really afford a beer.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
But, I've got all this other shit to do. So it's very easy to put them off.
Yeah.
And not go, but you do have to make that effort to do it and sort of get yourself out there, man.
Yep. So
I am holding in my hand,
unfortunately, Guy is holding his phone in his hand,
which means it can only be one thing.
Only one thing. A very quick
tweet it. It's going to be quick, actually, because I really want to get back to the cricket World Cup semi-final. We're missing it. I stopped watching the cricket to talk to you to do this.
Yeah, because I'm going to a wedding in a couple of days, which means that we had to record it early this week.
Yeah.
So today is Tuesday. Guy just gave the secret away by talking about the cricket. But
yeah, well, hopefully by the time you guys listen to it, this will be in the final. But I will say that, this is a big sacrifice, bro. Yeah. But that's how much I care about the listenership.
Well, I've got to go to work now. I'm late.
Hurry up. Okay, so this is the Twitter section. This one's from at GPeasy.
Who?
How to be happy, successful, incredibly productive, and achieve all your goals. Stay off Facebook. The end.
It's true.
It really is true.
It's only half true. It's only half true.
Well, you're a serial networker on Facebook.
Yeah, I use Facebook for
I'm a serial masturbator on Facebook.
He's looking at your pics, ladies.
So that you can see that there's the two differences there. One will achieve something, one will not.
Pics at the beach, yeah, I'm looking at your toes.
This one's from Pete Holmes. I don't do CrossFit. I cross fit off my list of goals. Way easier. A little poem for you.
All right, good. I like poems.
This is from Robert Smith. Disappearing slowly, fading in your mind like morning fog under the hot sun of time.
Is that it?
Yep.
Yep.
There's a tweet, so they can't be long.
Right. Yep.
That's it. So we'll just wrap it up. I really just want to read my one, to be honest.
Right.
So we're just going to roll it up.
Outro.
Yep. Tweet it.
Terrible episode. Terrible.
Terrible episode.
No, the episode was good. Terrible segment. Terrible segment. And there's no troll hole this week because everyone loves us on the internet. So thank you for listening. If you've got any questions for next week's show, get at us on Facebook, Pigville Productions, or add me, Harley Neville. Otherwise, you can get at Guy Pigden, GPeasy on Twitter, at GPeasy.
Yeah, and also, look, we haven't mentioned the iTunes thing. Please write a review on iTunes.
Please, for the love of God, would you write a review and a 5-star on
It's real
iTunes?
easy. You just click into iTunes.
We know there's 50 of you listening, and yet every week, no one does
no
it.
one's doing this.
No one does it. So, guys.
Come on, guys.
Like, hook a brother up.
But yes, but look, I sacrificed a cricket for you guys, okay? I fucking did it, mate. Come on. Okay, so thank you very much, and we will see you next week.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.